Lux Takeout, my takes on all things considerable. I I decided I didn't have to be right there at 2 o'clock. Now I know that's the slippery slope. You say, "Oh, you don't have to be there at 2 o'clock." Well, you're going to be here at 2:30, maybe 2:31. You said Pacific time, right? Anyway, I do this live because it's just slightly more dangerous. No notes, just talking off the top of my head. That's why only part of my head is shown next to my gong. This is the micro talk show, the AAPI and the AAXs. I like to say the Asian American Pacific Islanders. My little micro talk show, my micro niche. However, you don't have to be an AA anything. You could just be all the rest of them out there. You can be whomever, all comers. Welcome to the program. We talk about the news and news things and things I noticed today. I'm still talking about Justin Jones. I'm still concerned about the media and that the media insists on calling him a black legislator. I mean, yes, part of him is, the other part is Asian American. The other part is Filipino. The other part is not black. But I guess you can get away with saying that a part black legislator is a black legislator. No, it's if you want to be totally accurate, you got to say a mixed race American of Asian and African American descent, something like that. I know a lot of people say that's too many words to me. Yeah, diversity is difficult sometimes, but accuracy is what counts. And I would expect it from something like the Fox Network, the anti-woke channel. I would expect it from folks like them. I kind of expect more from some of the cable outlets, like especially MSNBC. But to its credit, I did see MSNBC once last week referred to Justin Jones as African American and a mixed African American and Asian descent. Filipino, they said. That's great. Now be consistent with it. I mean, that's all I'm asking for. And I think it's because of what we're talking about, right? It's because of what Justin Jones stands for, right? He's the newly minted voice of the voiceless, advocate for an assault weapons ban, an overall generational change for a more inclusive democracy in America, right? I mean, when he was restored and he got back to the State House yesterday, I remember I was here talking about it and they were having the meeting, but I wasn't as keyed in to know that they did the vote right then and there. I signed off yesterday about 2 or 3 minutes after they'd taken the vote, and then I heard about the vote. And of course, he was sworn in immediately. They went on to the State House. They had to wait for the votes from the Metro Council in Nashville, and then they marched over to the State House, and there was Justin Jones brought in by Gloria Johnson, right, the white lawmaker who was spared by one vote, spared expulsion. Justin Pearson was there too. He's got to wait till at least Wednesday because Nashville met Monday. Memphis's council won't meet until sometime Wednesday. But boy, they were able to get Justin Jones onto the floor, waving to the young activists who followed him. And it was funny, one of the shots I saw Justin Jones walking along, you could see Justin Jones, same white suit. He's with African American kids. He's also with an Asian American woman. And I said, now there's diversity. You can tell this is a multiracial movement. But then why not just describe Justin Jones for what he is, right? Not do as the AP, the Associated Press, which said black lawmaker who was expelled, reinstated to Tennessee seat. I mean, that was pretty unambiguous there. And then, I saw Lester Holt on the NBC Nightly News. I like Lester. And from his anchor prominence, he says that political drama in Tennessee late today, the National Council voted to reinstate one of the black state lawmakers. Oh, one of the black state lawmakers. Once again, Lester was only half correct. Jones isn't black. He's Filipino by his mother's side. He's Justin Shea Bautista Jones. And he grew up in Oakland. He grew up in the East Bay. And he fully embraces his Filipino-ness. It took him a while because, look, it's not easy growing up half black and half Filipino in Oakland, because there are times when it's all together now, but there's times when there's a lot of polarization. He was trying to understand it about 4 or 5 years ago. And then he went to Filipino scholars in the Bay Area who connected him to people who can tell him about the African-American Filipino experience. He got a foothold into his history and then became proud of his Filipino heritage. Not that he ever was not proud, but there was a tremendous hole, a tremendous ignorance about being mixed race Asian American. Now, some of you out there will say, come on, Emil, this is no big deal. I mean, why are you making such a big deal? Because if you don't make a big deal about it, who is? If I'm not going to make a big deal about saying my name Guillermo instead of Guillermo, which is the way the Spanish say it, but I'm not Spanish by colonization. I'm Filipino, and Filipinos say Guillermo. If I'm not going to make a big deal about it, no one else will. I've seen too many of my candy-ass relatives give in and say, oh, yeah, I'm Guillermo. Okay, yeah. We just have differences of opinion. I still love them, but they give in. And fortunately, I think the Filipinos who've come into America from the Philippines, who are Guillermos, have not, adopted the when in Rome do as the Romans. And I hope they held with the Guillermo and not Guillermo. Although, I don't know. They're trying to get along, so they might just say Guillermo. Anyway, Justin Jones is an Asian American Filipino. We got to make it a big deal. And I just think when you have Jones and his fellow expelled legislator from the Tennessee State House, Justin Pearson, when they're all about inclusion, youth, bringing in all the people from the margins to be seen and heard, then why just outright ignore Jones's Filipino Asian American side? And why not mention that Jones represents even more cultural diversity than anyone thinks? And, it's been recognized. The Washington Post got it right last Thursday. First edition's on the web. I heard it once. MSNBC's Alex Wagner, she mentioned it. I think, and that's the way it should be. But over the weekend, and then definitely on Monday, by the time Jones was reinstated, AP and others simply chose to ignore Jones's mother's side, his mother's blood, and dropped expressing America's real diversity. I guess laziness, or it doesn't matter, or they think it's irrelevant. Tiger Woods, who had a rough weekend, he's half Thai, his mom, right? You've seen his mom at the golf tournaments go up and hug him and kiss him. And when he was younger, like, just breaking into the PGA, he'd make a big deal about calling himself Cablinasian, right? It didn't really stick because he was Californian and black, and Asian. I mean, he had all sorts of. That was a concoction. Kaplan didn't stick, and so that was just easier. Just say, oh, Tiger Woods, he's black. And we saw a black golfer limp off the Masters over the weekend. Kamala Harris. Now she's a tricky one because she's always more partial to her African American side. And during her run for president, she hardly mentioned her Asianness. Although people say, oh, come on, Emil. She mentions her mom, who was a researcher, a cancer researcher. She always mentions her mom. Yeah, she does in certain circumstances, but she keeps it kind of close to the vest unless she has to. And when she was running for president, she didn't mention she was Asian. Not when she first went out on CNN to announce that she was running for president. This is before Biden picked her up as, to be his vice president. But when it made a big deal that she was Asian is when after she joined Biden and the Biden-Harris ticket won, and she was the first Black and South Asian woman, the highest ranking Black and Asian American woman in our democracy's history. It's historic. So we honor it. We talked about, remember the inauguration? It was a big deal. But now it seems like when people talk about Harris, maybe it's just presumed everyone knows she's of mixed race, and they don't feel it's obvious to mention it. They consider it irrelevant. But how can it be irrelevant when it comes at a time when the country is battling this woke war over racial identity? I mean, you need something like the identification of Harris to counter this ongoing battle that the GOP is waging. Really, it's a culture war on denying our country's racial history. It's almost making it imperative for Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities to proudly declare our heritage and race, especially when and if we're newsmakers or, on the scene or when we're public, where our cultural backgrounds are factual identifiers that help people understand this new America that we're in, because it is a new America. It's not the 17th century, the 18th century, the 19th century, the 20th century, not even it is the 21st century. It's different. Journalistically, they say the two most important facts about a person are a name and an age. But race should be right up there. Jones can't just be Black. Not when you see his physical presence, his hair, his skin color, his size. It all clues us in that there's something else going on there. And Asian American Filipinos know. I mean, one's race should be, I think, as important as people who insist now on boldly declaring their pronouns. And I guess by now you could probably guess I'm a he, him, though I feel solidarity with the they, thems. I'm down with the they, thems. They're not always necessarily down with me, but I'm down with the they, thems. But that's, our gender grammar. Race and ethnicity is about blood and fluid, or it's about blood that's fluid and undeniable, but too often ignored. And why? Because no one's forcing us, no one's pushing us. It's easier to not do it, which is like crazy. Easier to not do it. Do it. So I've always said this, for as long as I've been doing ethnic media shows, I've always said, when we have a love interest in one another, maybe we'll see an end to the racism that festers and evolves. And, it's slowly happening, though, according to the numbers. The last census, the 2020 census, the mixed race the percentage of mixed race people up from 2.9%, 9 million people in 2010 to nearly 4 times that, 33.8 million people. Mixed race. And as we become much more of a mixed race society, a mixed race society of American people, I think we got to stop being lazy and stop the automatic defaults that we have. Like when someone's black, when they have any amount of black, oh, they're black. When they're really black with Asian or Latinx or Caucasian or whatever. I mean, it's the case of Justin Jones. Make his Lola Harriet from the Philippines happy. Don't ignore his Asian American Filipino side. And don't let the news media get away with saying the black lawmaker. He's not the black lawmaker. He's much more diverse and representative of all of us. Make them say it all. In the overt language of diversity, Jones is a black Asian American Filipino. A Ba'af. Or a Bla'af. Black Asian American Filipino. Come up with your own acronym if you don't like that one. But that's what he is. I mean, if we're slinging pronouns, declare your race too. Fully. Not in part. Let us all be seen. Justin Jones represents that new generation, and maybe he represents a time when, yeah, we're going to see people embracing that mix. That's America. That's what America is becoming. So I was just thinking about the Justin Jones situation because, you know, he's been catapulted. Both Justins, Justin Jones, Justin Pearson, they're not only are they articulate, they've got that preachy lilt in their cadence, and they represent a future. The future as we evolve into the kind of America that they've been predicting for the last 30, 40 years, that, you know, when the minorities become the majority, it's a new America. It's an America that we all share, that we are, you know, we have an interest and we are one. I mean, this is the evolution of our democracy. We should be proud of it and not be repulsed by it, not be frightened by it. Because, you know, this is why we're seeing the anti-woke kind of things now, because people are saying, oh, wait, that's not my America. I want the old America. Yeah, I want to make America great. I want to make, right? Essentially, I like it the way it was in the 50s when it was like mostly all white. I want that America, some people are saying. No, this is our America, the new America. And you know what? We are blending. And then some people will say, oh, well, come on, assimilate them. Assimilate. Let's be one. Well, we can assimilate, but it's better to keep some of our distinctions fresh. I mean, it doesn't mean you're black and get into the mix and you become some kind of light black, light brown. I mean, you know, this has been a point of discussion for the last 30 years, right? Diversity. Do we all blend in? Is it the melting pot, or is it, as some people have been saying, like I said, for 30, 40 years, hey, we're like a salad. We keep our distinctive parts. We're unique. And yet we're all in the mix. This is what America's becoming. And as we've seen, it's not an easy evolution, because it definitely means that there's got to be more sharing in society. There's got to be, it shouldn't be that as we get more diverse, things get more unequal. Because what's happening. We get more diverse racially and ethnically in terms of our racial makeup. It becomes more unequal in terms of our economics. That's what's happened the last 10, 20 years. How do we rectify that? Unless we talk about a greater sharing of all resources. Now, some people will hear that and say, oh, that sounds like socialism. That's not socialism. That's just a kind of enlightened democracy of the diverse kind, where you got to figure out, well, how do we make this work amongst us? I mean, definitely, it's got to bring about a change to the elite, and it's got to be more of a preservation of a middle class sense of values that rises up and includes all. I mean, who's talking about that these days? The only one I hear talking about the middle class in terms of making it stronger and preserving it is one Joe Biden, who's in Ireland now. I didn't see anyone really talking about trying to do anything for the middle class aside from Biden. Maybe things will change when people realize that, oh, it's not about elitism. It's not about fostering, these elitist divisions. It's about bringing up people and expanding America from the middle out, and not keeping things polarized from the top to the bottom. This is a challenge. It's a challenge for people like Justin Jones. He's trying to bring things, Justin Pearson, trying to bring new people from the margins into power, into the light, to be seen, right? That's what it's about, to be seen in our country. So the coincidence of Tennessee and the protest there, which was a gun protest, right? Because of the Covenant School a week or so ago. Now we have the Kentucky shooting at the bank in Louisville. And, when we've had shootings in the past, some of the big shootings of the last 3 or 4 shootings, Uvalde, we've had Pittsburgh, or not Pittsburgh, but Buffalo. I mean, a lot of the shootings have been racist oriented. They've been, you had the Atlanta shooting a couple of years ago. 6 Asian Americans killed. The spa shootings. And, everyone counts them. But I think that this Kentucky shooting is different. Because the shooter was white. That's not that different. Shooter is usually a white racist. But this was apparently an employee, a young white employee, who reports say might have had some mental stability issues. Who were his victims? His victims were prominent whites in the community. The governor, right? The governor knew. The mayor knew the guy who ran the bank. They were good buddies. The congressman who spoke today, the Democrat, Congressman McGarvey. And when you look at Kentucky, Louisville is like a blue spot, a blue speck in a red sea. And so when the Mayor Greenberg is talking about, hey, we got to look for some kind of exception so we can do some laws that will take care of us in Louisville and forget about you gun-toting Second Amendment, people who will prevent us from creating the laws we need to protect ourselves, to create a sense of public safety in Louisville. So I think what we're seeing is, because this was a uniquely white shooting, we might begin to see some action. I mean, I hate to say this, but it's like the old vision of social problems when blacks were shooting up heroin and creating problems through drugs and whatnot. No one did anything. But as soon as the whites started doing the drugs, now it's an issue. I mean, they've said that, kind of express that kind of perspective throughout the years. Well, this is the gun version. When the top politicians see one of their good friends die from gun violence, they express it. We might see some action. I'd like to see that happen, although it would kind of prove what I was saying about, will they only do it when they get impacted, when they feel the impact? I think in this situation, it's kind of unique. Louisville. I like Louisville. I've been there a bunch of times, and nice Catholic town, great red brick. I mean, very old-fashioned town. I know it's the South. Sometimes I guess it does feel like the South. They get the accents, and there definitely is a racial divide that you can sense. I mean, if you're coming from California or some other place, you can sense that in Louisville. I think I would have liked it better if, it's just so muggy there. There's that mugginess in that part of this. Is it the Central South? Anyway, I have some friends there, and I visited because of family around there, Kentucky, Ohio. It's I hope something comes out of this where, and if you saw the press conference today, they were talking about, look, we got to see some kind of action. Even if it's something like changing a law so that when guns are confiscated when committed in a crime, you don't auction them off. And I wasn't aware of this law, but apparently if a gun is confiscated and used in a crime, by law, they have to put it back into auction. They have to put it back into circulation. I'm for gun killing. I mean, I think if a gun has been used in a crime and you have the gun, kill the gun. How do you kill the gun? Well, you can disable it permanently. Although if you didn't, just have it as a relic. So it's like you can make it into maybe a lamp. Maybe make it into a leg lamp. Like in Christmas Story. Just an idea. Make a gun as a table setting for a First Amendment household. You have dinner at an advocate of the Second Amendment, and you've got, napkin, spoon, fork, soup spoon, disabled gun. I mean, it would be it would be for a unique household that believes in the Second Amendment. I mean, but you would disable the gun so it would have some value. Not to commit a crime, but just to ornamental value. Make it into a flashlight. Oh, a flashlight with a real gun. not harmful, not a dangerous weapon, but just all right. I was just surprised when the mayor talked about state laws that said a gun has to return into auction, because I guess, if you live in an area where guns have value, people are going to shoot them up and they'll want that gun. I say take them out of commission, gut them, do something, kill them, kill the guns, make them ornamental. That could be a simple law, but people in the aftermarkets, they might be interested in creating a way to revive a gun. So after you kill it, then they'll revive it by giving you the necessary things to make it go bang bang again. I don't know, but that surprised me when I heard that about the gun. All right, so I'm going to end with this, because you may have heard the Kaiser Family Foundation poll. 1 in 5 adults is the headline. 1 in 5 adults say they've had a family member killed by a gun, including suicide. 1 in 5. And 1 in 6 have witnessed a shooting. And guess what? Among black adults, a third have experienced each. So the message is, you're a person of color, you're more likely to experience gun violence. But even just in the overall number, 1 in 5 adults say they've had a family member killed by a gun, including suicide. I can raise my hand. Not the suicide part, but killed by a gun. 1 in 6 have witnessed a shooting. I can't say I've witnessed a shooting, but you're exposed to so much now. Video games, movies, they're not the same. I know, but maybe that's one of the issues. We're so inured to everything that, the big discussion that people have been having is, hey, let's not make this normal. And then this Kaiser Foundation study comes out, and this is how normal it is in America. 1 in 5 adults say they've had a family member killed by a gun, including suicide. And I would have to say that, yes, yours truly, I've had a family member. I've had friends who have had family members killed by gun. So my thing about this Kaiser Foundation poll survey is that they have these interesting stats that they've taken. They tracked March 14th through the 23rd, 2023. I just wonder why they break everything: black, Hispanic, white, women, men, rural, suburban, urban. I don't know why they left off Asian Americans. Now, I know why they didn't delineate Asian Americans. They probably didn't have enough in their overall sampling. But if you're coming off an historic period where Asian Americans have been harassed, have been shot at, the Kung flu, China virus, hysteria, triggering off hate crimes against Asian Americans. And then, of course, we had the Atlanta spa killings. Those were guns. Make no mistake. Why can they assure that they had a sample that would include Asian Americans? That would have been interesting. Instead, they don't have enough of a sample, but they have enough to sample blacks, Hispanics, and whites. The top three, except in California, where the top three would include white, Hispanic, and Asian. So, Kaiser Foundation, I believe they're based in California. Why did you forsake your Asian American brethren here in California so that we could look at your survey and say, yeah, I see us? Another blind spot in diversity. So here's some of the poll. I mean, they asked a number of questions. I just read out the big one about, about gun violence, knowing someone. So here's the lead. Here's the top one. More than half of U.S. adults have experienced a gun-related incident, including 1 in 5 who have personally been threatened with a gun or had a family member who's been killed by a gun. Oh, that kind of loads it up. So have you been threatened with a gun or had a family member who's been killed by a gun? More than half of U.S. adults. That's a lot. See, and this feeds into this idea that things are getting normal about guns in America. That's not a good thing. Not a good thing. Here's a question. Have you personally ever been threatened with a gun? 21%. Witnessed someone being injured from a gun? 17%. Been injured by a gun? Only 4%. Been shot a gun in self-defense? Oh boy. Well, only 4%. That's good. But now, do you have a family member who has ever been threatened with a gun? 31%. Witnessed someone being injured from a gun? 28%. Been injured by a gun? 20%. Oh my God. That's just a family member who's been shot, right? Do you have a family member who has ever been killed by a gun, including death by suicide? 19%. Those are far healthier numbers than you'd like to see. Now, when it comes to people of color, it says people of color are more likely to report experiencing gun-related incidents, more likely to worry about and feel less safe from gun violence. Well, so I feel less safe when I hear about guns and gun violence. Let's see. Black adults, Hispanic adults, and parents significantly more likely to worry about a loved one being a victim of gun violence. And it shows that 18% say every day or almost every day in America. That's a lot. And you break 18%. You break that down. 32% were black. Say, yeah. We are more likely to have a loved one being a victim of violence. So it's an interesting set of numbers. And you can find it on kff.org. And just Google Kaiser Family Foundation. And here's a scary one. More than 8 in 10 adults have taken at least one precaution to protect themselves or their families from the possibility of gun violence. So nearly 6 in 10, 58% of adults say they've talked to their child about gun safety, including majorities of white adults, 62%, adults, Hispanics, 56, black adults, 54. Let's say at least 4 in 10 adults have taken defensive actions, including 44% who say they've purchased a weapon other than a gun, such as a knife, pepper spray, or something else. Well, I think, yeah. Here's something scary. 1 in 3 adults say they have avoided large crowds, such as music festivals, crowded bars, and clubs to help protect themselves or their families from the possibility of gun violence. See, if it's not COVID, it's something else. It's like, I can't go in that large crowd, that bar, that music festival, that game, that... It's a concern. And I know a lot of people are going crazy about the NBA playoffs and the tickets you can afford. I mean, the crazy thing about seeing the game live is that, I mean, they are so far away, you might as well stand on one corner of your room and look at the fur balls on the other side and just imagine that those fur balls are NBA players. That's what it's going to look like when you buy a $400 ticket these days. Because to get a decent seat, you got to spend at least, it looks like $800 to $1,000, because the scalpers markets. I don't know. And this is why you stay home and watch it on big screen TV, I guess. All right. I'm going to post this show. This show is $4.99. Imagine that. We have done 499. That means tomorrow is going to be show 500. I don't think it's not a 500th show. We'll wait till we break Babe Ruth's record before we really celebrate. I'll post this on amok.com on my website. Look for my columns on ALDEF, the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund, aldef.org/blog. Also look them up on the inquirer.net, INQUIRER.net, the Philippine Inquirer. The big story in the Philippines is that the U.S. and the Philippines are in these joint military operations because now we're buddies again. And thank goodness there's still some people who are against the whole nationalistic. I mean, they're against the look of the colonizer in there helping the Philippines in these joint military exercises. I've always felt that Philippines should be on their own, but they need some help. I mean, when you saw the whole Spratly Island dispute with China over the years, the just ragtag Philippine Navy, they need help. But thank goodness there are the nationalists there to keep people honest, to say, we're not beholden to the United States. We're partners. We're not the parking lot for the United States. So I'm an American, but I want to see the Philippines exist as the Philippines. I want them to be their own thing, pulling their weight and being able to stand up to the U.S. As partners, right? Not as, hey, we're here, we just happen to be here, you need us, we need you a lot more, come on. I want to see them be real partners, because we've got a lot of colonial baggage to overcome. And so I praise the nationalists We're making sure, keeping people honest, knowing, or letting people know how they should look at this relationship. Believe me, no one in America is thinking about it. They're just not. A handful of people are. But right now, there are a lot of people thinking about China. And the Philippines seems to be on the good side there, as opposed to being, a couple of years ago, wasn't clear what Duterte was going to do, China or Russia, even under Trump. So I hasten to say that, oh, is that Bong Bong's doing? No, I think it's coincidence. But Bong Bong, it looks like, can acquit himself nicely just by being less corrupt than people assume he is. And I think also if he doesn't kowtow to Duterte, stand up to Duterte. Of course, Duterte will say, hey, look, you owe me. I rehabilitated you. So we'll see. Haven't been following it as much since I've been looking at all the things happening here in the U.S. with gun control and the Tennessee thing and the assault on democracy, Donald Trump's mess, DA Alvin Bragg suing now Jim the wrestling coach, right? Jim Jordan, for obstruction. I mean, Jim Jordan needs to butt out of whatever Alvin Bragg is doing in Manhattan. So we'll be following that. That broke today. All right, back tomorrow with our 500th show. Imagine that. So yesterday I was talking about meta phrases, and usually there are 4. And the one that I didn't forget, but it just didn't come to mind. The "May you be safe." That's always like a basic one. Metta, M-E-T-T-A. There are about 67 or so loving kindness phrases, and I like the top 4, right? May you be safe, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you live with ease. I can get down with those. But there are some others. May you be comfortable. May you be merciful. May my heart radiate positive vibes. I mean, some people say that. May I be free from my taint. My taint? May I improve myself every day. May I work in harmony with others. May I see positivity in everyone and everything. May I be free from the beliefs that hold me back. May I have a positive outlook. May I be free from evil actions and thoughts. May I be humble and kind to everyone. May I be better and better day by day. I mean, those are loving kindness phrases. And then there are the phrases that you confer to others. May all good things come to you. May you find more love and prosperity. May all beings be happy. May you be free from sufferings. That's a good one. May proprietary prevail everywhere. May proprietary May all beings experience the divine within. So those are some phrases. In case you say, well, Emil, there should be 4. You forgot one. No. I just like to do the basic one, the one I first learned. And there are times when things just escape me and I just forget. So the loving kindness meditation, once again, metta, M-E-T-T-A. The may, as I wish for me, I wish for you. That's a handy phrase. Because then it's like, you don't have to go through all the declensions of form and grammar. You just say, hey, here it is. As I wish for me, I wish for you. You send it out to the other person. And you really think about it. You say, may, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. What does that mean? No black cats. Now that's superstitious. Watch out for the Acme Safe Company. Oh, that's a Roadrunner cartoon. May you be safe. Oh, that's a safe. It wasn't Acme Safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here, back tomorrow. Live, maybe 2 p.m. Pacific, in the 2 o'clock hour. Catch the repeats on amok.com, Twitter at Emil Amok, YouTube at Emil Amok1, fb.com/Emil Guillermo Media. Till next time. Mahal